We're back with part 2 of my conversation with Kathy O'Connell. In part 1, we talked about the importance of self-love, what it was like growing up with cerebral palsy, and transitioning into an adult woman living with cerebral palsy. In part 2, we'll talk about how she met her husband and her course on dating, relationships, and disability, which is coming up on February. You said so many great things, and the first one being that you went to therapy.
Right.
I think that, I go to therapy today as an adult, and I think that if that's something that can help people in any area of their lives, that they should look into it. There's no shame in having a disability. There's no shame in needing help with your disability in any way, whether you have a caregiver or you use an aid to help you walk, or maybe you do need to see a therapist to talk about some of the things that you're feeling. So I'm so glad that you brought that up, because you knew what you wanted in life and you were willing to get help, because a lot of people think it's weakness maybe if they ask for help or they try to get help, but you didn't do that. You said, you know what, there's something I want, I'm not sure how to get there, so I'm going to find somebody to help me. And then you worked with that person and you did the work to fill in the gaps where you maybe needed to change your mindset or your behavior or whatever it was. And now this is what you do for a living. Tell us about your courses and how you help people. Well, do you want to share how you met your husband?
I will share very quickly. So I met my husband on my dating site, and we emailed a few times. And by that point in my dating career, I had figured out that potential dates could sometimes have difficulty just hearing my voice, like over the phone. So I developed a policy, and that's what I teach people to develop dating policies, where I said to him, you know what, I would like to meet you in person before we talk, so that you can see all of me. So we met for dinner, and we get to dinner. I can tell he is so uncomfortable with me. And I also, by that point in my dating career, realized that I had to acknowledge the elephant in the room, or I would never see him again. So I said that we get to dessert, and I say, so how are you doing with me? Having a disability, really direct. And instantly, Nicole, huge tears well up in his eyes. And I take in the breath and I go, oh, I'm gonna never date again. I made my date cry. So, but my husband is a very insightful man. He said, I'm so uncomfortable. I have hardly known anyone with a disability. And this is important. He said, I know it's about me and not you.
Wow.
So,
What did it feel like to hear those words?
oh, it felt wonderful. I'm like, bingo, I think I got the match. So that night we ended up talking for about an hour. And I basically said to him, look, I know you're uncomfortable. I'm going to have cerebral palsy for life. This is who I am. And it's really your decision of whether or not you want to get to know me, but I would like to date you and get to know you. I had never been bold enough to say that before because I would fear rejection
What made you say it this time?
because I liked him so much. Yeah. So we parted ways. I didn't know if I would ever see him again. The next night, these are in the days before smartphones. The next night I come home, I check my email, and he emailed me saying, I I still don't know, but you are so confident and beautiful. I gotta get to know you.
I love
And
that
that's how
story.
we began dating.
I love that story. That I
Yeah.
because you've shared it before, and it's great every time you share it. It's just you were so confident in yourself at that time, and he was willing to listen. He listened to his intuition too, even though he was scared. He knew he liked you. He liked that confidence. He liked your inner beauty and your outer beauty, and he was willing to say, "Hey, let me see what happens here."
Right,
Not just say, "Well, I'm scared, so I'm not going to see her again."
right, right. And I just want to point out that that is such a key lesson in dating, whether you have a disability or you don't have a disability. You just step into who you are and be that person to the other person.
Yeah. And so when you teach people now in your online courses, what are the types of things that you encourage them to do to step into their disability?
Well, I do say, and I know that's a very hot conduction topic, but I do advise some people to always disclose that they have a disability right away because I see it as you're saving yourself time, you're saving them time. Because think about it, you don't want to draw people to you who are have an issue with your
Right.
disability.
That what you're why would you want to hurt yourself
Right,
that
right,
way? So
right.
you actually recommend that if people are doing online dating that they put it in their profile.
Yes, and I put in my profile. I would put I live happily with cerebral palsy.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
great. So tell us about your course.
So I have a few courses. Um, I have a ongoing course that anyone can get at any time called Dating, Relationships, and Disability. How do you have confidence and succeed? And it basically takes you through positive beliefs about yourself. Because really, if you think about dating is a really a self-esteem issue.
Yeah.
And then it talks about how to have positive beliefs about your disability, how do you find the right partner, how do you work through problems. But I do online workshops, which are like a mini course. And I have one on my site called the 4 Steps to Successful Dating. But I have one coming up February 10th on how to put yourself out there and find dating success. And that's because I work with a lot of people. I have a private Facebook group of over 200 people now who are people with disabilities trying to date. And I've been listening to what they're saying, and what I see is a lot of people try to date, but they don't put um, a lot of planning into dating beforehand. Like, they don't think about what kind of person I want to be with, what are the behaviors of another date, of another person that I'm willing to tolerate, and what are non negotiable.
Right, because just
That
because you have a disability doesn't mean, because sometimes I think people fall into the trap of, oh, somebody likes me.
right, right, and that typically goes nowhere
Nowhere.
and can lead to a lot of heartbreak. So essentially, what I teach in whatever workshop or course I'm giving is about empowering you as a person with a disability who is facing challenges like sexual ableism, and bring it back to you and what you want and what works for you in terms of meeting people, having confidence to deal with judgment and rejection and not let it shut you down.
Hmm. And see, everything you said, how perfect was self love to be the topic, because everything you're talking about, it really starts with self love
Right.
in one form or another. And you have to take that self love and transfer it. You have to
Yeah.
keep taking it with you, just like you did throughout
Yeah.
your life, and saying to yourself, I'm I have things to offer society. I have qualities to offer a man. I have qualities
Mhm.
to offer businesses and the work, the workplace. And you knew that, but you kept reminding yourself and loving yourself enough not to settle.
Right.
And I think, knowing you, that's what you tell people who take, I've taken one of your courses, you don't want us to settle. And that's why
Right.
you're always saying, you have to know what you want, and you have to be empowered, and you can't let those setbacks affect you so much that maybe you're going to say yes to somebody that normally you would say no to.
Right, right, yeah, yes. For me, it's about living what I call full life. And the full life is the life you want to live. The things you want to be doing, the relationships you want to have, and not letting the challenges of a disability get in the way of that.
Way. Yeah. That's great. Now, if people are interested in the private Facebook group, is that only for people who take a course, or
No, no, it's something to anyone who happens to have a disability
to be in?
and be interested in dating. I do have a couple married people or people in committed relationships in the group, because they like to help other people. Um, so the only criteria is you do have to have a disability.
And if
Yeah.
people want to sign up for the course, where do they go to do that?
And if I could just mention it, people want to look at the Facebook group,
Yeah,
it's confidently dating with disability.
confidently dating with a disability
Yeah,
on Facebook. Okay.
yeah. And the workshop I'm giving is called How to Bring Yourself Out There predicting success and the easiest place to go to it because it's a long link is my website, radiantabilities.com. Go to the tab for live events.
Okay. And you also have a Facebook page, a Radiant Abilities Facebook page, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yes. And where else can people find you on social media?
I'm also on Instagram. So.
And it's at Radiant Ability. Is that?
No, it's Radiant Abilities.
Okay, maybe it's Twitter.
Okay, I was on
Twitter, but that's the one I was thinking because it was Twitter. A little.
And you say it, Trump got me off of Twitter, and I'm barely on Twitter.
You're not missing anything. I don't like Twitter. You're not missing anything.
And then also on LinkedIn under Kathy O'Connell and Radiant Ability.
But before we go, do you have any quick tips or any advice either for parents with a child with a disability who is trying to instill a sense of self, or for an adult who's trying to date and they're like, hey, I don't know what to do. People aren't accepting my disability.
Okay, so for parents, I would tell you what I say in all my presentations. The two biggest things you need for your child are loving them for who they are and having expectations for their life. Two biggest things. If you're a person dating with a disability, I would tell you ground zero, you need to begin with self-love and thinking well and positive of yourself and your disability. And also, if you are someone who says, gee, I don't know where to begin with that, you may want to go again to my website. Right on the homepage, radiantabilities.com, you can sign up to get 10 affirmations to help you confidently date with a disability. So these are 10 positive statements that if you begin to say them to yourself, you begin to change your thinking to one that's more positive and more confident.
I have that download, and I encourage everybody to go there and sign up for her mailing list because Kathy has all kinds of resources on her website at radiantabilities.com, including for parents as well, right, Kathy? You have resources?
Yes, I have a few things, but I'm not saying I'm going more and more in the direction of doing dating and
got you. Okay.
But I do have a few videos for parents about empowering your child with the healthy sense of self.
Great. Well, I enjoyed talking to you today, and I want to remind everybody that this podcast is brought to you by cerebralpalsyconference.org, and we are excited about sharing experiences from other people like Kathy, people in the community who have cerebral palsy or maybe another disability who are out there and they're doing great things because our lives matter, our voices matter, and you can do whatever you want to do. You might have to do it differently or take a slightly different path than, let's say, somebody who doesn't have a disability, but you can still get there. And I think that's important to remind people. So, Kathy, I want to thank you for your time today, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Nicole. Great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you. Bye.